Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I have joining me on the show, Bad Blake Davis, professional boxer, 10-0, 1-0 in bare knuckle fighting championship, and he's representing 954. Blake, man, thank you so much for joining us, brother.
Thanks for the invite, man.
Absolutely, man. And I really felt I was super impressed by your fight that night at the Hard Rock, where you looked like you broke your hand. We'll get into a little bit, but just your performance, right? How you were able to dodge and weave and look like a real boxer out there. It was very impressive, man. And being 10-0 in professional boxing, what type of skill advantage do you think that gives you when you fight guys in bare knuckle?
Well, typically these guys don't have any amateur experience or any real boxing experience from what I've seen. And that's just super important to the game to have that experience behind your belt.
For sure, man. 10-0 as a professional boxer, 1-0 right now in bare knuckle fighting championship. The way that you ended that fight, right, with a TKO where you basically willed the man to stop fighting you, and it looked like you broke your hand while breaking his face. How did that night feel for you as a guy who was used to fighting with gloves, now fighting for the first time with bare knuckles?
Well, it definitely was not my first time fighting bare knuckles, but
Right.
um
Professionally, I meant.
exactly. It's definitely different than boxing. It's a completely different sport almost. It's a lot faster paced. Your punches are a lot more effective. And I think it gives me more of a benefit.
When you say a benefit, like, do you think in the sense of how you move or how you're able to dodge punches, or is it more how you're effectively able to land your punches?
Effectively able to land my punches along with my speed, my length, and my jab is just so destructive. You see, I mean, it literally rips the guy's face off.
Yeah, man, it's and that length is hard for a lot of guys to come up with because you're a tall dude. How tall are you, right?
I'm 6'5".
Yeah, man. And at your weight class, we're talking about something that is rarely seen in that aspect where a guy can move that quickly, really have power behind their hands, and have a length advantage that really takes away any type of offense the opponent may have. Is that why you got
Hmm.
into bare knuckle?
Honestly, it's the reward is better too. So there's more pay in bare knuckle. Boxing's so political, so hard to climb up the ladder. If you're not behind the right people, it's almost like it's just it's a corrupt game in boxing, you know.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of dealing with all the political stuff. And I was doing the shows and hosting events as well on top of fighting in them. And I kind of just got sick of boxing, man. And I was like, I don't want nothing to do with this industry. And I kind of took a break. And then the whole bare knuckle idea came up. So I reached out to Nelson Lopez and, Ryan from Slaughterhouse. And they kind of just plugged me in and we were able to work out a deal and come to an agreement. And I trusted the process. And now we're here.
And let me tell you, bro, you made I think a really good decision because bare knuckle fighting championship is definitely on the rise, right? We see the success of the event in London. We just had another pay-per-view event over the weekend where we had two belts change lines, and we saw women actually headlining the fight. Like, it's definitely a sports that is growing, right? And I feel like you're in prime position to really make the most of it because of your skills and because of the timing that you're getting into it. Right now, who would you say is the guy that, or a person that was like, now I don't want to say influenced your style for fighting, right? But who would you say is like a fighter you looked up to? Who was your favorite fighter?
I always looked up to Triple G
Mm,
as a young boxer. He was always my favorite. I've always been a real power puncher. I've always wanted to just punch hard with my length and my reach. I've always been able to generate crazy power. Um, and I just loved Triple G's fight style. He was a knockout artist.
yeah, man, that guy is
Um,
really dangerous too, and he's fighting Canelo right now coming up this weekend. Who do you think is going to win that fight between two amazing boxers? Like,
I think with the age now, I think Canelo is probably gonna outbox him
mm.
and probably smoke him. You know. But what I will say is that I believe that Triple G won their first fight.
Yeah, I would agree to that. You know, I felt like at that time, Canelo's name, right, really had a lot, still has a lot of weight, right? But it kind of influenced the decision a little bit, in my opinion, because he was a fighter that they didn't want to lose. And in the rematch, it was clear that Canelo was the better fighter. So this trilogy is going to be interesting, and I'm kind of curious to how you think the fight is going to turn out. I know you got Canelo smoking him, but do you think it'll go the full 12 rounds?
I do. I just can't see Triple G getting stopped unless the referee steps in. But even then, Triple G's got such a chin and he's
Right.
got so much power that if he is in trouble, he should be able to at least use his power to get out of the situation.
Dope. Yeah, I agree, man. I want to talk pivot the focus back to you a little bit. With your record in professional boxing and you're undefeated right now in bare knuckle, tell me what your training looks like on a week-to-week basis. I know that it's hard for fighters to stay in fight shape all the time, but you got to be ready to answer the bell at any moment. So what's that training like for you?
Well, I've kind of never been the type to be ready to answer the call at any moment. I usually like to make sure I prepare properly for my fights,
Okay.
and I usually give myself 6 weeks. When I am in camp, I'm training twice a day, like 5 times a week, usually.
Okay. And with your next upcoming fight, we were talking a little bit earlier about it off camera. I know that Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship is going to have another event sometime towards the end of the year here at the Hard Rock, where we're definitely going to link up and check you guys out. Do you have an opponent in mind? Because with your skills, I don't think there's too many dudes lining up to face bad Blake Davis right now.
I don't have anybody in specific, no, besides the bigger names, obviously. Like Mike Perry would be great, but I just don't see them feeding me that fight right away,
Okay.
stuff like that. So I kind of got to earn my stripes and make some money in the process, getting to the top of the chain or whoever's at the top of the chain. It seemed like they put a lot of promotion into Mike Perry, you know, like they invested a lot in him. And I feel like I can steal all of it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because we talked about the event in London and his fight versus MVP. What did you think about his performance? It was a good fight, right? But I thought that there were some holes in Mike Perry's game that a lot of people have been calling out for a while, and it just doesn't seem that there's anybody that he's willing to face that can exploit that. Do you think he's dodging a lot of people in that division?
I have no idea. I thought MVP was, I didn't really know much about him or seen his fights before, but just his body type, he looked very um, fast and explosive and dangerous. And he was landing some big shots on him. So he kind of got exposed there, Mike Perry, with those big, straight, you know, backhands that were landing. Well, not backhand, but the rear hand, because he's a southpaw. Um, and I just don't see anyone surviving my straight right hand.
His shit is vicious, bro. And like I told you that night when we linked up after your fight, I heard how hard you hit him when you broke your hand. Did you really break your hand, or was it just
No, I didn't. I didn't break my hand. I just tore the tendon,
mm,
completely ruptured, and a couple ligaments as well. So I've been dealing with that's kind of been holding me back lately. So I kind of just been taking it easy and focusing on other things while my hand heals. But I do my strength conditioning every Monday and Wednesday, and once in a while, I'm kind of just doing some runs and just doing some weightlifting and hitting the bag every once in a while. So I'm just staying moving, but I
right?
wouldn't say I'm in fight shape. I'll leave that for when I'm ready to take this fight and I get an opponent and a date, and we'll look forward to making my efforts worth it.
Absolutely, man. We're looking forward to watching you in the square circle again, bro, because I keep harping back to it, but your performance was so impressive for somebody who was fighting professionally in bare knuckle fighting championship for the first time. And not only to go out there and dominate, we've seen people get knocked out, but a complete domination where you walked away with zero pretty much damage done to you. Kind of unheard of in bare knuckle, right? Because of the fact that you guys are fighting bare knuckle. we talked about excuse me, we talked about your training, we talked about your fight style. I wanted to ask you, what is your motivating factor when it comes to fighting, and what's your long-term goal in this fight game?
The long term goal is obviously to make a lot of money. That's probably everyone's goal. So that would be it. I'm trying to make money, man. That's why I did this crazy shit. That's why I came to bare knuckle. They pay more. You know, I'm hungry. You know, I'm a great fighter. I'm very dangerous, and I think I'm even more dangerous as a bare knuckle fighter. And I think that I've honestly trained my whole life more for being bare knuckles, anyways. To be honest with you.
Yeah, man, I got a lot of guys in the 954 have that rep, right? Where they like to square up, and whether it's in the streets or in the ring or however, you guys have been known for that bare knuckle style, right? I guess South Florida is known for that, and we can make some great fighters like yourself. Last thing I wanted to ask you, man, I know that you want to be a part of that, and you don't really have a specific opponent in mind, but you got a lot of friends. I don't want to say you have a lot of friends in this business, but one of the guys that we mutually know is the champ right now. I think that you can eventually challenge for that. Do you think that you would have a problem facing anybody in the big bare knuckle fighting championship, or do you think that you can really run rampant through this division of yours?
I mean, that's questionable. Like I said, I am close with whoever is the champion right now,
Right.
so but we'll see, man. I gotta build myself up and earn my stripes, but I'm gonna run through whatever I have to.
I like that, man. Real quick before we sign off, I know you said that this is not your first time fighting bare knuckle, right? I wanted to ask you, what was, if you can describe your first fight as a bare knuckle? How old were you? How did it go down? Because it's always interesting for people to experience their first fight. So I want to know what yours was like.
My first street fight was, I believe it was 10th grade,
Okay.
and it was at a park we went to after school, and we met there, and I dropped the dude with a straight right hand.
Look at that. Yo, this guy's been doing this since 10th grade, knocking fools out with a right hand. How's that possible, bro?
So then I eventually got jumped at a house party,
Sheesh.
and that was actually my motivation to start getting in the gym because I never even trained. I kind of just got to a point where I just said I'm just not going to take shit from nobody no more, and I started
Hmm,
defending myself to try to earn some respect.
I like that.
And I just started fighting a lot. And then eventually one night I got jumped pretty bad at a house party, and I had a fractured spine as well at the time.
Fuck.
Doctors told me that I actually probably would never play sports again. And by the time I would finish healing my back, I went straight into the boxing gym to learn how to fight and make sure that something like that would never happen again.
How old are you when that happened, that you got into that boxing gym?
I think I was 17 when I went into the boxing gym.
Man, so since 17, you've been motivated to not only learn how to defend yourself, but also put your natural abilities to use. Is so that's kind of what drives you as a fighter, right? Like that drive to say, well, I'm not gonna let nobody try to punk me, right? Especially in or out of the ring. And I know that I'm a dangerous person, and I'm gonna be able to execute my will, because it looks like that's what you do when you're in the ring.
Exactly. Yep.
And I was looking at a couple of your amateur boxing fights, and again, they have that style, right, where you're coming forward, you're not afraid to exchange, and you ultimately can rely on the power that's in your right hand. Would you say that that's your probably deadliest weapon, right? Out of all your skills, would you say that your right hand is your most dangerous weapon?
That and my jab with this bare knuckle, I've noticed it's totally different, and the jab is so extremely effective in bare knuckle. All the straight punches are so effective. That's why I tell you it's kind of like a different sport almost. I don't think every boxer can come in the bare knuckle and be a winner.
I
I think
agree.
there's a different grit to it as well. So you don't necessarily have to be so skilled, you know. But obviously, if you know how to use the skills in the right way, along with your power and grit, it eventually comes down to your fight IQ and your
Mhm.
capabilities.
And you know what? That's 100% correct, man. Because having some of that street fight knowledge, right, and background, and being able to train and harness that energy properly, that combination is what probably leads to a lot of success in the ring, you know. And sometimes boxing doesn't give you that, right? Because people get put into boxing at a young age, and they always wearing gloves and the headgear, and it's a different animal. And you're right, bare knuckle fighting is a completely different animal. It's not like boxing, it's not like MMA, but yet we've seen guys come in from those two different worlds and not necessarily get immediate success. That's why I think your story is very interesting and why we wanted to have you on, man, because yeah, you come from that boxing background, but you also have that reputation and that knowledge as a bare knuckle fighter, and now you're putting the best of both worlds together, and it's impressive, man.
That's exactly what I plan to do. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
glad you recognize off a minute and a half performance.
I mean, shit, man. Like, I was there with, you saw it, man. I was there with like 4 or 5 guys, and you know, we were all super impressed. And even my homeboy who was sitting at the top, right in the upper level, he was like, he's texting me as I'm right next to the ring. He's like, "Yo, ask Blake if he broke his hand. Ask him." And I'm like, "I'm gonna ask him when I get him outside." But because we were so impressed, man, and I can't wait to see you fight in bare knuckle fighting championship again, bro. And I can't wait to do another interview with you where you're either headlining or fighting for the belt, man. I truly see that in your future.
I can't wait to fight again as well. Like I said, hopefully they got something coming up here in December. I got to work out, obviously some numbers and stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of risk here, man. Like hurting my hand, spending money on that. Like things didn't work the way it should have necessarily with the whole hand injury, but we'll get past that. And I'm super happy. I feel like I found my real passion.
That's great, man. And you know what? They say that when you find your passion, you never work a day in your life. And even though you train and you train hard, brother, because I watch that, man, I think that you're definitely passionate about what you do, and it comes out every single time you fight, man. I'm excited for what's ahead of you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for making the time for us today, man. Joel and I really appreciate it. We can't wait to put this out on our YouTube channel. So make sure you guys follow my man, Bad Blake Davis. Go ahead and plug in all your social medias where we can get people to find you and your Bad Blake promotions.
Instagram is Bad Davis 954. Facebook, you could just look up Blake Davis. I do have like technically like a professional page on Facebook, but I don't really use it. I just kind of have to use it in order to have the ad services and stuff.
Correct.
I did have my promotions, but like I said, that's for the boxing. It's not bare knuckle, but I was running shows with Bad Promotions. You can follow that on Instagram. It's Bad Promotions. Also got a website, badpromotions.com. And yeah, man, that's pretty much. If you want to follow me, just tune in, man. I'm looking to make some noise, make a lot of money, get a lot of fans, and kind of be just a fucking dominant, dangerous force in the bare knuckle world.
Let's do it, man. We're right behind you as a show, man. And like I said, we can't wait to see you fight again in live and connect in person. And first drinks on us after you win your next fight, brother.
For sure, man. Like I said, I'm super excited. I'm ready to dominate. So
let's get it, man. Thank you again, everybody. Bad Blake Davis. Make sure you check him out on Instagram. Follow all his social media, and make sure you're telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe, like, and comment on our YouTube page. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Thank you.